Swami, namaskar.
त्रैवेद्यं हृद्यं त्रिपुरहरमाद्यं त्रिनयनं जटाभारोदारं चलदुरगहारं मृगधरं महादेवं देवं मयि सदय भावं पशुपतिं चिदालम्बं साम्बं शिवमतिविडम्बं हृदि भजे. Om Namah Shivaya. In the 20th verse that we saw in our last meeting, the devotee says his own mind is like a very restless monkey, and referring to one of the manifestations of Shiva as a beggar roaming around with a rope in hand, with a monkey accompanying him, and so on, the devotee makes an earnest appeal to Lord Shiva, saying, please, with the rope of devotion, tie me down. Keep this monkey of my mind completely under your control. Otherwise, I would meet with my ruin. Save me, O Lord Shiva. In this way, in many creative ways, Adi Shankaracharya supplies to us ways and methods by which we can send our mind towards God. We are very much like that patient who had collected all the right medicine, but somehow was postponing taking medicines. The doctor said, are you taking the medicines I gave? Oh, am I supposed to take them? What are you saying? Medicines are given for you to consume. Right when you come out of the doctor's clinic, start that. And as per prescription. Alas, because of our old vasanas, you and I, though we have such wonderful guidance in scriptures, including works like Śivānandalahari, we are looking out and wondering, why are we suffering? Why am I restless? The medicine for our restlessness, for our lack of peace, is given here, and therefore we must implement, put this first when we have a little spare time. Though we have, yes, many things to do, can we do some japa for 10 minutes and then attend to all those duties or responsibilities which are understandable? So continuing, we now have another interesting illustration. If our mind is like a movable tent made of cloth, as it is so common in your part of the world, in the United States, you go and camp in some natural surroundings. Some people, I guess, carry their own tent in their SUV or whatever kind of vehicle. Some others go to places where tents are provided. So think of a movable tent, which is once at this place, another time at another place. And if our mind is like a movable tent, the request here is Lord Shiva should enter that tent and make it his home. Lord Shiva should enter our heart, enter our mind, enter the domain of our thoughts. Therefore, the main sentence in the coming verse is Matchetaha sputa patakuti. Patakuti is a tent. And Swamin, please enter this. Please stay here. Prapya, get in. Prapya, get in this tent of my mind. Stay in this heart of mine is the request. Rest of it is a very interesting description or supplying the details of this tent. So let me read for you this verse. Dhruti stambadhara drida guna nibaddham sagamanam vichitram padmadhyam pratidivasa sanmarga ghatitam smarare machetah sputapatakutim prapya vishadam jaya swamin shaktya saha shivaganai sevita vibho. Swamin, O Lord, O ruler of the entire creation, Jaya, be victorious. May victory be yours. Of course, it will be yours, but the devotee has to say Jaya Jaya and so on. When we say Sri Ram, Jaya Ram, Jaya Jaya Ram, by our wishes, it's not going to make a difference to God. He anyhow wins. But by our saying, O Lord Rama, be victorious, we get over our negativities. O Swamin, as the fourth line says, Jaya and Shaktyasaha, along with Mother Parvati, who is often referred to as Shakti, Shiva Ganaihi Saha, along with all your attendants. The devotee says this tent is large but presently occupied with the wrong tenants. Let us remove them and let us welcome Shiva, Parvati and their attendants. O Vibho, O all-pervasive Lord, here is this movable tent. In the first line, there is a word Sagamana. Gamana means movement. Sagamana. So wherever I am, whichever place I am living in, you see some of us actually physically also move, but the reference here is more to the mind. Our mind may be at work, our mind may be at home, our mind may be in some social function, our mind may be in some scenario. So Gamana, our mind constantly is moving, no matter where it moves. This tent, no matter where it is pitched, the request is Shiva with his retinue should be in this tent. Now, what is this tent? The tent is put in place, first of all, with a few wonderful, strong pillars, maybe of steel, maybe of bamboo, whatever. 4 or 6 poles are first put. And in the matter of our spiritual practice, dhruti. Dhruti means staying firm. We should not do sadhana once in a fortnight. When we were at little primary or elementary school, our teachers used to scold students who were not studying properly. They would say, "What? You have not been doing the homework. Once in a full moon and once in a new moon, you seem to be touching the textbooks. Be more regular," and so on. And there were, times have changed, I am sure, but in the good old days, there were some ways of those times to scold students. One of our teachers used to scold students who are not performing. Why do you come to this school? To sit on these benches and make those benches warm? If anybody sits on a wooden bench, after a while it gets a little warm, of course. And lastly, as I suddenly remember those days, and yet another teacher used to take 2 students to task. Why are you coming to school? You are not studying properly at all. You better join the municipal office, panchayat office, and pull some or push some carts there. Perhaps they are politically incorrect and unparliamentary language, but in the good old days, teachers had a lot of liberty. Anyway, coming back, I don't know why I went to those things. Sagamanam, this moving tent. Gamana sahitam kutim. Kuti is the tent. Dhriti stamba adhara. So the poles are no other than dhriti. I now remembered. We are not to do sadhana once on a new moon day and once on a full moon day. That means 15 days apart. Every day, as I have said a number of times, even if it is a few minutes. Somebody called James Clear wrote a book some time back, and it is doing the rounds. The book is titled in an interesting manner, Atomic Habits. Atomic Habits. And he strongly maintains that bad habits have been ruining our life, and in order to change over to good habits, you don't have to imagine, oh, I need a lot of time. Some good thing, maybe exercise. Can you do for 15 minutes or 18 minutes? We Hindus are, with great regard for the number 18. Bhagavad Gita has 18 chapters. And Kurukshetra war had 18 Akshauhinis of army. The war went for 18 days, at the end of which the righteous side, Pandavas, won. So many things are connected with the number 18. So may I recommend, if not much, for 18 minutes, when you have some spare time, for 18 minutes, just sit and do Om Namah Shivaya, Panchakshara mantra. And if you daily do, James Clear would say 18 minutes is peanuts in a 24-hour period, but that peanuts atomic habit, very tiny habit. You're not giving a couple of hours for sadhana. Just 18 minutes can make a big difference. Dhruti is dharana for our mind, which is vasana laden, would say, today let me skip this japa. Looks like I should start next Monday. Monday is the auspicious day for Shiva, you see. I'll start on next Monday. All kutarka comes up in our mind. No. Dhruti. I started 2 days back. This is the third day. No question of breaking. 18 minutes I sit down. That is Dhruti. And they are the pillars for a tent which dares welcome Shiva. A tent that has to invite Shiva has to be in good shape in order to make this tent worthy of receiving Shiva. Dhruti should be the stamba and therefore provide the adhara. And as all of you know, a tent requires strong ropes by which that whole cloth has to be tied in a proper way, and that then withstands even some amount of winds and other elements. So in Sanskrit, one word, guna, can elsewhere stand for good qualities, but in a more physical context, guna means rope. Drida guna nibaddham. I'm sure the poet, devotee, saint, scholar has deliberately used the word guna. Otherwise, there is the word rajju. Vedantins especially know rajju sarpa. So rajju also means rope. But guna is used because there is a pun on the word. On one hand, using the ropes, strong ropes, this tent is tied, and using or on the support of noble qualities. We must be kind, we must be not lazy, we must be considerate to people, we must be regular in good habits. These are all good gunas. And it is such gunas, guna meaning both quality and rope, that we can tie this tent where Shiva is then invited. Sagamana, it's a mobile tent. Vichitram, made beautiful with many decorations. Padmadhyam, this Padmadhya can perplex anybody. Where do lotuses come? Well, literally, some lotuses can be tied or put at the entrance of the tent for beautification. And as Swami Tapasyanandji rightly translates, lotus has a hint towards the psychic centers in the Kundalini Yoga. You have Mooladhara, Swadhisthana, Manipura, Anahata, and Ajna Chakra, and finally the Sahasrara. All of them are regarded, or they are symbolized by certain lotuses of different numbers of petals. Sahasrara on top of a head, where the Kundalini energy reaches, in the case of the most exalted yogi, has 1000 petals. If you study some book on Kundalini Yoga, you will get numbers of petals of other lotuses. But all the 6 + 1, 7 chakras are symbolized by lotuses. Therefore, in the translation you have, I hope in your hands too, having the psychic centers, Mooladhara, Swadhisthana and others, as its lotus designs. The tent may have its own design, literal lotuses, or the cloth with which the tent is made may have some design rather than being plain cloth. Vichitram Padmadhya, Padma is lotus, Adhya is decorated with or enriched with. Pratidivasa Sanmarga Ghatitam. So every day it is going on the right path. The moving tent goes on the right path, Sanmarga. And in the spiritual context, my mind is striving hard to walk the path of Dharma. And I need your help, Lord Shiva, along with all your attendants, first of all with your divine companion, Mother Parvati. Come and be in this tent. Smarare, one of our major obstacles in sadhana is Kama and Krodha. Manmata represents Kama, and killer of Manmata. He didn't kill really, as we know. Shiva turned Manmata, Madana, Kamadeva to ashes. When Madana tried to disturb the tapas of Lord Shiva, in the well-known story. Therefore, since he turned Smara, that is Manmata, to ash, he is called Smarari. O Smarare, Shiva is Smarari, Vishnu is Murari. So Murari, Smarari are a nice rhyming pair of words. Smarare Matchetaha Sputa Pata Kutim. Chetaha, my mind, my heart. Pata is cloth. Prapya Vishadam. Please enter this elegant tent of mine and bless me. Thus, how wonderful, one after another, unthinkable metaphors are brought in. That is called upasana. When you are in love with somebody, let us say, anything and everything will take your mind to your beloved. In the famous work of Kalidasa, Megha-dhutam, a certain Yaksha or Gandharva who had been cursed, I guess, by Indra and was made to live at some distant place, looks at some clouds, and rather than thinking of rains or something else, he thinks, let me send a message to my beloved who is in Alakapuri through these clouds. These clouds can take my message. So he sees clouds, his mind goes to his beloved. Likewise, when you and I become Shiva Bhaktas, a tent, a tree, a monkey, a hill, a river, you name it, whatever it is, will take our mind to Shiva. We think about that object or person or place in terms of Shiva or matters related to Shiva. O Shankara, one who causes some auspiciousness. Oh, did I jump? Swami. Oh, yeah. The word Shankara doesn't come here. So, Jaya Swamin Shaktyasa Vibho. And that metaphor being over, there are lots of these metaphors here. And so far, even up to the 22nd verse, consistently, steadily, we have been in the Shikarini meter. Though I recited some of them in a different tune, because I myself forget what tune I used for a previous verse. And, some of us are gifted with, you start off somewhere and then somehow you complete it. When I was a student in Bombay Ashram in 84, I had this challenge of reciting some shlokas. So I would start in some tune, and my classmates used to say, you sometimes start with a wrong tune, which is not used for that stotra, but you somehow ensure that it gets completed. That's what I have been doing here also. So Shikarini meter with 17 syllables in each pada is the meter all along in 22 verses. Let's read the 22nd. Pralobhadyairartha harana paratantro dhanigruhe praveshodyuktas san Brahmati bahudha taskarapate imam chetas choram kathamiha sahe shankara vibho tavadhinam kritva mai niraparadhe kuru kripa. Same chetaha, the mind of the devotee, which was previously compared with a cloth tent that was mobile, is now compared with a thief. Third line has the expression chetas choraha. Chetaha eva choraha. This mind itself is the biggest thief. Thief of whatever, money, jewel thief. Long back Devanand had made a movie, Jewel Thief. Some very clever thief who, if I remember right, succeeded in stealing a very precious jewel which was highly guarded in a famous museum. Somehow he managed to steal that jewel. Jewel Thief was the title of that popular movie in those good old days. So, thief, chora, chetas choram. Now the entire shloka has just this main sentence. Third line has chetas choram, tava adhinam kritva. Fourth line has tava adhinam kritva. O Shiva, this thief of my mind is at large. Nobody is controlling him. Please catch hold of him. How can we request Lord Shiva to do this policing job? Why should he be brought in to manage thieves? Well, in no less a work like the Vedic portion Rudram, we have Rudram and Chamakam. Shiva Bhaktas recite that with utmost reverence. In work, Vedic work, not anybody else's Paurusheya work. Paurusheya, given by God himself. In the Rudra, at a certain place, Lord Shiva is called Taskarapati. Taskarapataye, Taskaranam Pataye Namaha. Taskaranam Pataye Namaha. In fact, there is another place where it is said, Stenanam Pataye Namaha. Stena or Taskara are words meaning chora, a thief. In high school, I had a classmate called Bhaskara, and we were all studying some Sanskrit. My learning Sanskrit began in 8th grade high school in a little town. So, yeah, there we came to know Taskara means thief. Next day onwards, the whole class was making fun of our friend Bhaskara. Everybody started calling Taskara. Good morning, Taskara. How are you doing today? He was fretting and fuming. But, mischievous boys and girls that we are during those times, we would pick on anything to make fun of another person. So, Bhaskara is the Lord's son. Bhaha means light. Every morning as the sun rises, he floods the earth, the part of the earth where we live, with light. Bhaha karoti iti bhaskaraha. Taskaraha or stenaha, I don't know the etymology, but taskara is a thief. Taskara pate, the second line says, my mind is a chora, is a thief. And why, have you gone and stolen anything? Well, I might not have physically done it, but my mind is very weak. Always it is greedy, pralobha, adyaihi. It has many problems, anger, lust and jealousy and depression and a lot of negativities. Pralobha, adyaihi, and especially as thieves do, this mind is interested in more and more wealth. Artha aharana paratantraha. Swatantra means free, but paratantra is, it's under the influence of desire and greed. Dhani grihe, wherever I see some gold, though I have some by God's grace, I want that gold also. I want that pleasure also. I want that position also. I want that fame and name, that limelight. I want. In this way, this is indeed a thief. Pravesha udyuktaha, wishes to enter wealthy places and grab some wealth. Are we not doing it on an international level too? Suppose some country has a lot of crude oil. Some other country has minerals. Some other country has gold mines. In the history of mankind, we find powerful communities have invaded, have attacked, have completely subjugated the native population and looted the gold mines, the diamond mines, and other natural resources of that mass of land, carried shiploads of gold and diamonds to their own country in another part of the world. And after many years of ruling these colonies, these countries which are less developed technically, though otherwise they might have had their own great culture, leave them. The colonizing countries have left the colonies in utter bad shape. In economic terms, broken economy, and many ways disturbed, their backbone is broken. Some places the whole population is decimated, like it happened in North America. The natives now can be counted, such small number, pushed into some reservations and so on. So I am no historian, I am no social scientist, but making a reference to such episodes, I would say, collectively also and individually also, we have greed, we have lust, we have jealousy, and thus our mind is like a thief. Brahmati, mind just roams rather than being at peace. Bahudha Brahmati, imam chetas choram katham iha sahe. Shiva, I have been trying hard But how can I bear, how can I handle this mind of mine? O Shankara, O Vibhu, Tava Adhinam Krutva, Mai Niraparadhe, Kuru Kripa. Show your Kripa, show your compassion to me, who basically is innocent. Somehow bad vasanas, somehow bad habits got into me. Somewhere, maybe out of curiosity, like youngsters, out of curiosity, take a little drug, LSD or marijuana or some other. Every now and then, we find children of some very rich families, very prestigious families, who don't need anything. They have all the pleasures at their, within their access. But they get into these drugs, they consume drugs, and some of them, to make matters worse, the young boys or girls of prestigious families around the world are seen to even sell drugs and get into what they call the drug racket. A young couple last week, there was news, had come from Kerala to Bengaluru with some jobs. They had some jobs and they were living a middle class life. Somewhere they took some drugs, then they sold some drugs, then they saw the money that is available and they got attached to luxurious life, eating at expensive restaurants, holidaying at some wonderful places. Now, to sustain that luxurious way of living, this young couple who began in a good way, they were hardworking boy and girl to start with, but they got into drug racket. So to complete the example, the police raided their house in some part of Bengaluru and found, I always find it difficult to believe the figures, some kinds of drugs or substance was found in large quantities and the cost of it was several crores of rupees. That is the value of various forms of drugs. But my point here is I'm trying to throw light on this word niraparada. When this boy and this girl, lower middle class, maybe middle class boys and boy and girl, when they came from Kerala to Bengaluru, all they wanted was a little nice job, their own place to stay, to have a decent livelihood. Niraparada, they had no criminal intention, but curiosity, some association, then it was a point of no return. Now both of them are in the jail, in custody of police. You and I on the spiritual path are like that. We begin with good intentions, but somewhere negative emotions in us get the upper hand. Therefore, the prayer is, Hey Shankara, Kuru Kripam. In essence, that is the main sentence. Hey Shankara, Bho Vibho, Mai Kripam, Kuru, and so on. Now with a little touch of humor, which is so common in this Śivānandalahari, every now and then there is a witty remark, there is something that pulls the carpet below the feet of anybody. We have 23rd verse where you will be surprised. The devotee says, please don't elevate me to some high position. I don't want any position. I would rather be just a humble devotee at your feet. Don't make me even Vishnu or Brahma. That is where there is some humor. If somebody is elevated to the position of Vishnu, though Vishnu is not a position where one can be elevated, one can become Indra, one can become Brahma too. But Vishnu is not a position where a soul, because of some merit, etc., can reach, but in a manner of saying. When Shiva is your Ishta Devata, Shiva can do anything. He can make you Vishnu in a manner of saying. So we have The shloka, let me tell you what it basically means. Don't make me even Vishnu or Brahma. Vishnu or Brahma. For I know how even Vishnu and Brahma had moments of such despair. In a certain famous story, Shiva appeared as a vertical column of light, and both Vishnu and Brahma were unable to understand what is this column of light, Jyoti Stamba. They were looking up and down. If they look up, they can't see the top, up to what point above that column of light is extending, up to what point towards the bottom that column of light is going, they could not figure out. They were really frustrated and desperate, exasperated. Then a voice said to them, go find the tip of this column of light. And you have the famous story in some Purana where we have Brahma becomes a swan, a hamsa, a pakshi. Brahma becomes a swan and goes flying in order to, with the intention of finding the top of that Jyoti Stamba. Goes on and on. Vishnu also digs into the earth because that column of light had gone deep into the earth. So being a boar, being a Varaha type of creature, he goes down, digging into the bowels of the earth. But the story finally has both of them, Brahma as a swan going upwards, Vishnu as a boar going downwards. They don't find the tip at either end. They are so helpless, so miserable. And this verse says, the devotee therefore doesn't want to become Brahma and Vishnu. Of what use is being Brahma? Of what use is being Vishnu if we cannot find you, cannot be in the joy of devotion to you? And of what use is it if our purpose is to find the end of this or tip of that and so on? Of what? I don't want any position. Let me be the humblest of creatures, but enjoy the joy, that Ananda of Shiva Bhakti. Shiva Bhakti Śivānandalahari, after all, is this work. So we have the 23rd verse. Let me read that. Karomi tvat pujam sapadi sukhado me bhava vibho vidhitvam vishnutvam dishasi khalu sasya phalamiti punaschatvam drashtum divi bhuvi vahan pakshi mrigatam adrishtva tat khedam kathamiha sahe shankara vibho. I am doing Tvat Puja. The main sentence here is, in the first line you have, Sukhado me bhava. That is the main sentence. O Shiva, Sukhado bhava. Be a giver of Sukham. Sukham dadati. You see, Sukhadaha. Sukhado me bhava vibho. O Shankara, be a giver of happiness to me. Give me peace, give me joy, give me relief from worldliness. Give me happiness in devotion to you. That is the main sentence. But as a setting for it, Karomi tvat pujam. I have been worshipping you. I have been doing Shiva Puja, literally, or Shiva Manasa Puja. It's not the duration which matters, though as far as possible we must do a proper, with all these steps. Shodashopachara puja, we must try to do that. But suppose for some reason we are not able to do, even if it is for 18 minutes, perform a puja. Shiva is regarded Abhisheka Priya. do a quick abhishek after lighting a lamp with some simple, if you don't know any Veda mantra, even take some Purana mantra. You don't know Rudram, you don't know Namaka or Chamaka, you don't know even Trambakam Yajamahe, which is also from Rudra. So no problem. Do simple shloka. We have Lingashtakam. Brahma Murari Surarsita Lingam. Chant that and do a little abhisheka of the Shivalinga. Wipe the Shivalinga with a clean cloth or a paper napkin and then put a little bhasma. Shiva is fond of bhasma, and put a little of gandha and do finally an arati. So short, 18 minutes worship. And this devotee indirectly is advising us to do that. Karomi tvat pujam sapadi, quickly, without delay. Sapadi sukhado me bhavavibo. And I don't want you to reward me for the puja that I have been doing daily, saying, okay, dear devotee, I'm happy with the puja you have been doing. I make you Brahma, I make you Vishnu, I make you Indra, I make you Varuna, all some celestial positions. No, 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 no. Vidhitvam Vishnutvam Dishasi, if you bless, Dishasi, if you give me, Kalutasya Phalamiti, of what use is the result, is the benefit of that. If you say puja will get you that, no. Punascha, no, I have already narrated the story. In the light of the story, Brahma goes upwards as the swan, and many of you know there is another twist to the story. Brahma, the Chaturmukha Brahma, unable to reach the top, his infinite column, is so desperate, and that time a certain flower comes falling down, and the swan, that is Brahma, catches hold of that flower and comes back and tells a lie. So next time you tell a lie, you have a clever reason to say, okay, once in a while we tell lies. Even Brahma told a lie, did he not? Yes, Brahma also told a lie, but he paid a price for it. He was cursed by Shiva. There are a couple of stories of that kind where finally Brahma is told, in the entire world there will be no temple for you. Every rule has an exception. I think at Pushkara in Rajasthan, and I guess some place in Orissa, one or two places there is a temple for Brahma. Maybe Brahma made an appeal. So one or two places. Otherwise, in Sanatana Dharma, countless temples are for Vishnu, Hari, Krishna, Rama, and so on. So are the temples for Shiva, for Subramanya, Kartikeya, for Ganesha, and for Devi. But no temple for Brahma, because he told a lie on that occasion. But present context is he suffered so much. And Vishnu became a bore, and he didn't tell a lie. He comes back and in all humility stands quietly, and Shiva then expresses his glory. It's all a play between the various gods. All of them are one highest truth, Brahman, as we understand. Punascha tvam drashtum, in order to see you, Divi, upwards towards heaven, Bhuvi, downwards into the depths of the earth. Pakshi mragatam vahan. Vahan means assuming the form of Pakshi, a bird, the swan, Mruga, a boar, the Varaha, and finally Adrishtva. Neither of them could not see. Drishtva means seeing you. Adrishtva, not seeing the tip of the column in either direction, they suffered. And if you make me Shiva or Vishnu, I will also simply suffer. I will not be at peace. Tat khedam. Kheda means sorrow. Tat khedam katham sahe. How will I bear that sorrow? Therefore, please don't give me any position. I do not seek any prize, Oscar Award, Nobel Prize, Grammy Award, and something offered in England, in India, in US, in Australia. So many, there are universities that offer to you honorary doctorate, actors, sportsmen, etc. are also given honorary doctorate, and one may desire it. In India, people desire the Jnanapeeth Award, or there are those Padma Shri, Padma Bhushan, Padma Vibhushan, and Bharata Ratna. So one may desire. So take all of them here in this context. The devotee is extremely clear. I don't want any position. I don't want any reward. Let me be an unknown person, but let me have pure devotion to you, O Shiva. That is all that I desire. One more verse for this session. Rather, Sri Shankaracharya helps us pray Lord Shiva in yet another way, and there is a beautiful insight here. When our bosom is filled with Shiva Bhakti, time just flies. Thousands of years go like moments, whereas when we are in a worldly life, attached to many things. Nowadays, all of us are very attached to our mobile. Other day at Bombay airport, after security check, I am looking for my mobile, my iPhone 8, 4-year-old. So it's not there. And my heart started, beating faster. Again and again I checked. Again and again I checked. Before security check, I had put my mobile in the carry-on bag. It goes for the X-ray. This end of the security check, my mobile has vanished. Shiva Shiva. After a lot of, luckily I had some spare time, not that I was late to the boarding gate. I thought maybe, did I leave it at the check-in counter itself? I don't know. Anyway, one wise thing I did, I asked those security check people themselves, my mobile is not found. And they must have seen such cases before. That the guard said, give your bag again. We'll put in the X-ray. It will show. I gave my laptop bag with lots of, that's the problem. It has so many pockets, so many pouches, back and front and side and so on. It went there. And in the X-ray, the security guards easily saw the phone. They said, sir, it is here. And they opened and gave it to me. Because it had gone to some corner, hiding somewhere, could not find. Anyway, sorry for making too many autobiographical submissions, though I hope you find them a little interesting too. So if you lose a mobile during security check, get it scanned, screened once more. Though Shiva and Vishnu could not find the top of or the bottom of that Deepa Stamba, you will get back your mobile in the verse. So we are attached, and when we are attached, every minute looks like ages. It becomes time expands, whereas when we are happy, time contracts. Relativity of time in a simple, non-scientific language. So this 24 says, oh Shiva, when will I rise to that state of consciousness where I am, inundated with Shiva Bhakti? And thanks to that Shiva Bhakti, time flies. Kalpas. A kalpa is some 1,000 divine years, which is supposed to be as Tapasyananji gives us the figures. One kalpa is 432 million human years, and several kalpas go like a moment if we are at peace. When thoughts have completely subsided, there's only the divine contemplation on Shiva. So the main sentence is the first word kada. When will that time come? Shambhoho agre, where I stand before Shambhu, Shiva, and thanks to that deep devotion, last line says, Kalpan kshanamiva vineshyami. Kada kalpan kshanamiva vineshyami Shambhoho agre stitva. So the devotee is visualizing coming to Kailasa, standing before Lord Shiva, in bliss, looking at his glorious form, that being in his vicinity itself is so uplifting. So this is called visualization, and time goes like moments. Thousands of years go like moments. Kada va kailase kanakamani saudhe sahaganaihi vasan shambhoragre sputa ghatita murdanjali putaha vibho samba swamin parama shiva pahiti nigadan vidhatrunam kalpan kshanamiva vineshyami sukhataha. Kalpa, not of human beings. Vidhatrunam kalpan. So that takes you to even a higher number. For Vidhata is Brahma. Brahma's one day is equal to thousands and thousands years of human beings. Imagine, Brahma's one kalpa would be an unimaginable length of time. Kalpas of Brahma Chaturmukha go like Shanam, Vineshyami, I pass. Nayami, Neshyami, Vineshyami. I will spend, I will pass so much of time in like a moment, Sukhataha, in great bliss. When will that happen? That's the question devotee is asking. Kada sa samayaha agamishyati. When will that time come? Kada, in Sanskrit, kada means when. Kailase, I come to Kailasa. When will I get the ticket to come to Kailasa? I come to your palace, Kanaka Mani Saudha, palace with gold and other precious stones. I see you along with Saha Ganaihi, all your attendants, and I stand before you, Shambhoho Agre, and Sputa Gatita Murdhanjali Putaha. Anjali is when we make our hand like this, as though we are holding a lot of flowers with both our hands. And we take both the hands to our murdha, to our head. So when we make a gesture, first making the hand into Anjali, and then taking it to the forehead or the head, that is a way of bowing down, way of showing utmost respect. Sputa Ghatita Murdhanjali Puta, Anjali Puta, Anjali Puta means the hands brought together like that. The devotee visualizes, when will that time come where I stand before you in Kailasa, bowing down, folding my hands, and out of great feeling, I will be saying, telling your names. Swibho, Samba, Amba is Mother Parvati. Somebody who is with Amba is Samba, Shiva is Samba. Samba, Swamin, Paramashiva, Pahi, Pahi, please save me. And that context, saving is nothing but not letting me slip again to worldliness. I am in divine consciousness. For heaven's sake, please keep me in this divine consciousness. I am thoroughly enjoying this Shiva Bhakti, the devotee says, let me not move away from Shiva Bhakti. Therefore, pointing to how time is relative, Shankaracharya in this shloka says, Vidatrunam kalpan, some long periods of time, Kshanam iva vineshyami, Kshanam iva nayami. I would carry or I would pass so much time like little moments. So a strong wish, a strong desire, as they call it DDD, deep driving desire. If you and I have a DDD, deep driving desire to be immersed in Shiva Bhakti, that desire will do wonders. We will change. If any of us has a doubt, how will I get out of some negativity? Kama, Krodha, Lobha, Moha, etc. The remedy, the panacea, that one medicine, one wonder drug is Shiva Bhakti. And towards that Shiva Bhakti, first you must have desire. I want Shiva Bhakti. I want to go intensely into Shiva Bhakti. In this way, if you desire, that desire will pave the way to having what we desire. Do not underestimate the power of your desires. What you desire has a power to lead you in that direction. Therefore, have a good desire. Hold that desire tightly and you will be led. This is what we learn from the Adhyatma Vidya. Om Namah Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya.
Hari Om. Anybody have any questions?